So I have a sort of sad collection of magazines here. All of them were bought in the week that Princess Diana died, and so it is kind of a sad collection, but it's also a time capsule, a sort of a snapshot in history of the times we were living in. And the interesting thing is when noteworthy occurrences happen, that's when things like this tend to be saved. So I intend to go through all of these magazines, but I thought I would do them one at a time. And it's unique to find something like this, a TV guide. These were so often thrown away with the newspapers, with the garbage, because the TV guide was for, 1 week. In this case, September 20th through September 26th. And the only reason this TV guide exists is because Princess Diana died during that time. And so it's a snapshot and a time capsule of a time. So we can also look back in the year 1997 in the shadow of this occurrence, but also see what was happening in life at this time. I remember 1997 really well. And I think many of you probably do too, but it's interesting to see how things have changed, what we were watching, what we were doing, how we were talking. Just a brief rundown. In 1997, Bill Clinton was president of the United States. Tony Blair was the prime minister in Great Britain. A few days before, Princess Diana was jet setting, and she was being photographed with her boyfriend, Dodi Fayed. And that was the backdrop for this time period. So, Princess Diana, how TV honored and will carry on in her legacy of grace. When we open the cover, we see some of the shows that were going on in 1997. Soul Man with Dan Aykroyd, where he played a priest who rode a motorcycle. Didn't last very long. Hiller and Diller, I don't even remember that one. I think that's Kevin Nealon. Home Improvement was a huge, huge show. Over the Top with the guy from Rocky Horror Picture Show, Tim Curry, and I don't remember that show either. Prime Star, The Big Deal, Visit Your Local Radio Shack. So they were selling the radar dishes for TV at this time. Keep in mind, the internet was still really, really new. You may see a few websites pop up here and there, but the internet was still in its infancy. So we're talking about the cover story, September 20th, 1997, and we're talking about Princess Diana. And I believe it was that September. So I remember exactly where I was when this happened. I was in Texas when I heard the news. So I got out of the shower and someone told me that morning when I was combing my hair what had happened. So NBC's Refreshingly Funny Monday, Suddenly Susan, Fixed Up, Caroline in the City, and The Naked Truth. Here is Katie Haas of TNN Motor, TV Speed Queen. And this is an insider about her. He Who Laughs Least, Ken Ober hosted the game show Remote Control. I remember that. That was when MTV was starting to transition from music videos to programming. And many say that was the downfall of MTV when it got away. Because when I was real young in the 80s, all MTV did was play music videos. They didn't have any shows until the 90s when you started seeing Beavis and Butthead and some other things. But when they stopped playing music videos, that was my opinion, that's when it stopped being fun to watch. Yasmin Bleeth, Richard Chamberlain, Jimmy Stewart tribute, Jimmy Stewart was every man's hero and every woman's dream man, Bob Hope said, when legendary actor Jimmy Stewart passed away on July 2nd in Beverly Hills at the age of 89. Yeah, Jimmy Stewart had died that year. That's him on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Hollywood Grapevine. Tate Donovan's girlfriend is Jennifer Aniston from the new show Friends. He was in that movie Space Camp. An obvious nod to Charlie's Angels. Hopeful producers are pitching Spy Girls with Farrah Fawcett. Ark Linkletter and Bill Cosby are teaming up again after their May 18th special Kids Say the Darndest Things. And Lara Flynn Boyle, who she was still kind of popular. She was in The Practice. She'd come off Twin Peaks. This is a section called Cheers and Jeers. Jeers to crass courtside behavior. We're used to seeing Brooke Shields at tennis matches. That's when she was with Andre Agassi, the tennis guy. I'm not sure if they're still together or not. Let's see. Jeers to unseemly promotion. On Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, co-host Kathy Lee Gifford recently trotted out her 7-year-old son Cody and hubby Frank for a brief family tableau. During the briefest of cameos, Frank somehow managed to sneak in a space of single sentence from daughter Cassidy to the Packers playing the Bears on Monday night. So he was promoting his show. Ally McBeal, that was a very popular show in the late 90s. The Dancing Baby was about the only thing I remember from it. Callista Flockhart, people often talked about how skinny she was. I never really watched the show. I just remember the Dancing Baby was one of the earliest internet phenomenons. People would download a little graphic of it, and then there were little games where you could shoot it and stuff because it was the early internet. Let's see. Excess Baggage was a movie with Alicia Silverstone when they were trying to make her into a movie star. Surrounds and Cleans Crest, and they're comparing Crest to a white. And I never thought about it, but VW does look kind of like a tooth. The Princess We Love. Irresistible in life, unforgettable in death, Diana personified grace, style, strength, and compassion. Sadly enough, the day she died, I remember there were still tabloids, and they were taking them down hurriedly in the stores because they had trashed her ever since, as long as I can remember, the media was just trashing her and everything. And the Inquirer, all of the tabloids, all the magazines were talking about some scandal or some fashion faux pas or whatever. So I think a lot of the reaction of her death was also tied with guilt, because these people had hounded her so much and trashed her so much that they almost made her. I'm not criticizing her at all. Wonderful lady, but they sanctified her as much as they could. It's somewhat, in my opinion, out of guilt for how they had just destroyed her life while she was alive. And when she had first died in the Alma Tunnel, we had all thought it was because the paparazzi had driven that car to a crash. I think we've since learned that there were other circumstances, but still, it seemed like it was the media, the paparazzi, that caused all of that. If anything, they made her last few years miserable. And then there's a timeline of everything. The Princess Diana dying was one of those events that was just unreal when it happened. The Elton John CD, Candle in the Wind, was for sale at every single store. At every counter you could buy it. The reaction of Princess Diana's death was, I possibly since JFK, I don't know of anything as intense of a public figure, passing away. They've made movies about it. The Queen is a good example. So this TV guide is sort of showing, and here's some quotes from people. Brian Williams. My voice caught when I announced her death. I could not believe I was reading the words Princess Diana is dead. In many ways, she was my high school sweetheart. She was, for men of my generation, our girl, the imaginary dream date, an angel. Her elegance and grace and incredible sense of style put Diana in a stratosphere of her own. So you're seeing depressed people's reactions. Dish Network again. TV bids farewell to its princess, and then they're talking about the different television coverage of it. It's hard to, if you weren't there and if you didn't live through it, it's hard to explain what a month long of a mourning that was. It was very sad. I've been to the Alma Tunnel. I don't know if I ever mentioned it, but Mary and I were walking along the Seine River and we stumbled upon it. We saw that torch, and then before we even realized where we were at, we saw all of the Diana memorials. This was just a year ago, all over the top of the tunnel, and people leave them every day. Flowers and pictures and writings and letters. She's still very much alive in people's hearts. If life is a rocky road, at least now it's fat-free. Texas Two-Step. This is Country Music Awards. George Strait. Deanna Carter. Country at this time. Yeah, George Strait was popular for that movie, Pure Country. The Dixie Chicks were about ready to come onto the scene. And there's an ad for Wrigley's Spearmint Gum, 25 cents a pack. Do they even still make it? House guests. So you see the little no smoking thing. At this time, you could still smoke in restaurants. In 1997, they still had smoking sections. I'm not a smoker, but it is interesting how that's something that doesn't exist anymore. There's a lot of coverage of the Country Music Awards, and then we get a car ad that sort of folds it in too. Marv Albert's Day in Court. He was a sportscaster who got in some sex scandal. I remember that was a big deal. Barry's Big Win. Spin City Mayor Barry Bostwick details his personal drama, a battle with cancer. Spin City with Michael J. Fox. The original TV hero. This is an article about Fess Parker as Davy Crockett. And I read it, and it was actually a favorable article, which is interesting because I don't think that they would have that today, because we're so iffy about our culture and our cultural heroes now. And it's interesting how that's one of those changes that jumped out at me. Today, they would be iffy about anything like that. Not because they don't mean it or they don't want to say it, because they're just not sure how Twitter would respond. And I think right now we're in a time period when everyone is terrified of any kind of controversy. So, and maybe that's a smart thing, because I'm one of the first people to say, don't put anything controversial on social media. Jobs that matter, U.S. Coast Guard. The Black Lab. This is a pocket knife you could order with a picture of a dog on it. And it was rich with 24 karat gold accents, just $37.50. It's just random things like this that would pop up in TV Guide too, like order this pocket knife, So, that's from the Franklin Mint. And here's the TV Guide, heart of TV Guide. Now, wherever you lived, I believe the TV Guide would, it's more about Princess Diana, would adapt your magazine to where you lived, so you'd have your channels. and your schedules. And we get to the cheaper paper at this point of the magazine. The slick pages are for the more expensive ads and articles, and the cheaper paper we get into, and I think this is also the insert that was more specific to where you live. On newsstands now, Princess Diana, Her Life in Words and Pictures, and I actually don't have that one in my collection. Special 84-page tribute chronicling the public and private lives of the People's Princess. And then we're talking about some movies now, 4-star movies, The Private Life of Henry VIII, Being There, Gallipoli. These are all, Private Life of Henry VIII is an excellent movie. Gallipoli is an excellent movie. Rocky, Dr. Strangelove, Mary Poppins, Taxi Driver. These are all arguably 4-star movies. Hits and misses. Brief reviews of this week's notable programs. America Undercover got 3, which out of 10, which is a bad review. It says, I'm not a big fan on Bloodlust, but a report titled The Execution Machine Texas Death Row out to expose the horror and intensity of its topic. Instead, this one is mostly chatter. Call it dead men talking. 3 inmates at a Huntsville prison described as the nation's busiest execution facility are profiled. 1 proclaims his innocence, 2 don't, and all die off camera. The only provocative interviews with a female guard who says she loves the compliments she gets from her desperate death row charges. 3 out of 10. Crowned and Dangerous got 7. Inside the Actors Studio got 8. Here's a soap opera guide for the soaps at that time. I never really watched soap operas, so I don't know much about them at all. And sports. This week's TV programs. And then we have your. So this is when you still had your old UHF TV. So your channels: Channel 3, Channel 7, Channel 8, Channel 9. Many people in 1997, they still had their dial. They still would turn the dial, and this is what was on. Your New House, Ag Day, Georgia Farm Monitor, and you're seeing regional stuff because this TV guide was for the South. So you have Georgia, you have Shop at Home Network, Extreme Ghostbusters. This is 5 a.m., so you got a few cartoons, you got some news, mouse tracks, then you got reruns of Family Ties, Kung Fu, Coach, Full House, and you get into the later morning, 6 a.m., wrestling, The Today Show, this morning, Applegate Ford, scheduled report on women in their 40s who have children for the first time. Bob Vila's Home Again, Dragon Ball Z, Crimson Tide this week. This is Alabama football. So we're looking at regional programming. So each TV guide was, like I said, adapted for the region you lived in. If you had a newspaper subscription, there might also be a TV guide insert too, but we usually use that because it was more accurate than the TV guide you could get at the newsstand. So, but this still would probably give you an idea of what was going to be on. Inspector Gadget, a lot of cartoons at this time of the day. It's Saturday morning, so you got your Saturday morning cartoons. 7 at 8, you would get the popular cartoons of the time, like Barney and Friends, which was really popular in the 90s. Saved by the Bell. Doug was popular. Rugrats were popular at this time. Teletubbies was popular. Tiny Toon Adventures. Animal Adventures. SEC TV Weekly reminds you that you're in the South. Pacific Blue. So we're getting into the later morning. college football, Soul Train, Meatballs 3 is a movie, Student Bodies, Dragnet, 1987 movie with Dan Aykroyd, Gallipoli, and Dragnet was on WTBS, Gallipoli was on Cinemax, then there's Lifetime, HBO is playing Clueless. See, there's only one HBO, there's only one Cinemax, there's not like 65 HBOs like they have now. Or, Showtime Plus, Showtime this, Showtime that, Showtime whatever. I mean, they just had HBO, Showtime, Lifetime. They had one. College football, Michigan State Spartans at Notre Dame. And then we get like a spreadsheet layout. So you can, it was funny, you didn't really see these too much on TV screens yet, but now this is very similar to what you would find on your cable menu now. Like sort of a rolling spreadsheet of all of the programming through the day. Ray J in concert with Brandy. I'm sure no scandal will ever follow. Brandy was really, really popular, and this time, when I was in Germany in '99, they played so many Brandy songs and so many, oh my gosh, the most popular music. Because when I was in Germany at that time, I was at that age where we were going to the clubs and listening to the most popular music, and Brandy, believe it or not, Britney Spears, oh gosh, the Christina Aguilera, Jay-Z, the Rush Hour soundtrack, pretty much every song on that was playing in the clubs. That stupid song, Mambo Number 5 was really popular. The Execution Machine, that's the show that they gave a bad review to. Mad TV, we used to think that was the funniest thing in the world. For a while there, it was funnier than Saturday Night Live, and it probably would be today too if it still existed. Deep Space Nine, this is a Star Trek show. Flying Tigers, Night Court, Broken Arrow, Walker Texas Ranger. I never got into Deep Space Nine because I'm a Star Trek guy and I love The Next Generation, but I never really got into Deep Space Nine. And I definitely never got into Voyager. Nick at Night. You could watch old shows like the Dick Van Dyke Show and the Bob Newhart Show and all that stuff. Titletown. It's a Fox NFL Sunday. Another sort of spreadsheet. Comeback Kids. The feisty vets of 60 Minutes put their dark days behind them and clobber the competition. I heard something interesting the other day, and I'll just run this by you. Someone said that 60 Minutes was the end of news because it was the first time a news magazine came out that was seeking ratings instead of seeking being informative. And then after that, everyone tried to emulate them, and then the news went from being an information service that was impartial to a ratings-making machine. And they said it was all because of 60 Minutes. I think there's some truth to that, because a lot of people argue that the news is no longer the news. The Simpsons, this is when, I want to say, Homer Takes Manhattan. There's a big conspiracy theory about that in 9/11, that very episode. If you want to, you can Google that one. I'm not going to go into it because I think it's balderdash, but King of the Hill was really, really popular. And it was funny when it first came out, especially for someone who lived in Texas. It was a funny show. Touched by an Angel. There was a big Angel kick in the late 90s. Oh my gosh, Angel this, Angel that. Well, it started in the mid 90s. There was like John Travolta playing an Angel, then there was this show Touched by an Angel, and there was Angel Miracles and Angel Testimonials. There was a huge Angel kick, and you would see Angel merchandise everywhere. It was a weird time. It was we were pushing 8 years of President Clinton, and there was a huge sort of right wing kind of Christian coalition movement that had gained a lot of traction at this time. And angels were, and all that was part of it. And I mean, the family values and all that stuff, I'm fine with. I really am. But I thought it was kind of interesting that how things changed, and we had a Democratic regime, but that's actually the time was much more conservative by and large. I mean, Clinton was constantly being, attacked for this and that, and so I would say that the 90s was a very conservative time. It really was, especially the late 90s. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, great movie. The last good Terminator movie. This is Richard Chamberlain and Karen Allen, All the Winters That Have Been. Crowned and Dangerous starring Yasmin Bleeth, never heard of it. The Dreamsicles Ornamental Mint Plate Collection. Oh my gosh. Look at those. And you could get the shelf too. Wow. Oh boy. And then this is Moves of the Month. For people who like to collect that. I have relatives who were into stuff like that though. The Hummel, that's like the Hummel and Kaisers for the people on a budget kind of stuff. Although not much of a budget, because that stuff will add up. Cuffs, Christian Slater. Yeah, Christian Slater was from about 1990 until around about the time Cuffs came out. He was really hot. He was really on fire, and then boom. He was a good example of one of those stars that sort of just fell. I mean, and when he was a big deal, everyone loved him. Like, guys and girls, everyone thought Christian Slater was cool. He was kind of like Jack Nicholson. He seemed tough, but girls thought he was handsome and everything, and then it just kind of fizzled out, and then they moved on to the next one. So I got the idea at that time that being in Hollywood or being an actor would not be worth it because you would burn out so fast. I'm going to get some coffee. Let's keep going. Another layout of shows. And Cosby, not the Cosby Show, just Cosby, because he was trying to make a comeback. And it was like he ran a hotel or something. It didn't last very long. They're doing this little gag as they go through the shows now. They're showing like tape or something. 5 nights of NBC must see comedy start tonight, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like the premiere tape or something, but all of the ads are going to show that tape wrapped around them. Country Rose Barbie, the newest star of the Grand Ole Opry. You can see the conservative trend in America right now. You can see it. Fox Mondays, Melrose Place, Ally McBeal. Sybil, kind of a funny show. Had a funny Jonathan Frakes episode, if I remember right. George and Leo. Is that Bob Newhart and Judd Hirsch? I don't remember that show. TR, Teddy Roosevelt, The American Experience on PBS. I probably would have wanted to watch that. I mean, watching the Civil War documentary was like an event in my house when I was a kid. Brooklyn South, Dateline NBC. And now it's strictly just murder, but they still were trying to find their place at this time. Like, Dateline is just murders. what they say, it was the husband or it was the wife almost every time. Here's, buy some VHS tapes here for $4.95. Get your first video for $4.95. Now, I mean, they're going to start to add up, but it's like, choose from 40 classic TV shows. But, I mean, you're not going to get a whole season for $4.95 of All in the Family or whatever, but here's your offers. You could get V, The X-Files, The Three Stooges, Green Acres, Have Gun Will Travel, The Best of Japanese Animation, The Lucy Show, The Twilight Zone, Benny Hill, The World of Sid and Marty Krofft, Murder, She Wrote, Roots, Miami Vice, Wagon Train, The Waltons, Kolchak, The Night Stalker, Star Trek The Next Generation, Soap, Highlander, Columbo, The Collector's Edition, one feature-length mystery movie on each video. So, I mean, you're going to get one episode of Columbo for $4.95. Clueless season premiere. Jag. Here's more of that tape effect. Mad About You. This is after they had the baby. That show really kind of fizzled into a drama, and the viewers were not happy after when they had the baby. But some of the things that happened on the show took it from being a really pleasant, fun show to watch to being like overly dramatic. Frasier was really popular. Drew Carey, Home Improvement. David Caruso's Michael Hayes. They always said David Caruso never should have left NYPD Blue because his career never ever bounced back. Danny Aiello. What do we have here? Life insurance. And more TV listings. Silk Stockings, Meet John Doe, Married with Children, Newhart, Honeymooners. Yeah, Jay Leno was popular and somewhat funny. And he was still somewhat new at the job. Back to back, A Night of Love and War, The Sentinel and Star Trek Voyager. Tony gets a new show. Dick gets married. That's the Tony Danza show. It lasted like a hot second. This is the Tony Danza show, Built to Last, and Third Rock from the Sun. More country music stuff. Spin City. Notice that you don't... Paul Winfield. Notice you're not seeing like Friends and stuff yet. It hadn't really... Friends became incredibly popular. But it wasn't quite there yet. We were still going through Caroline and the City and Ellen and the Drew Carey Show. I think there'll be a graphic for Friends in a second. Andy Griffith. Barney can't identify Aunt Bee's homemade pickles. Andy Griffith. The town thinks Henry Bennett's a jinx. Promised Land, Diagnosis Murder. Here we go. Now we get to Friends and Seinfeld. But look how they're not really like the number one thing. They're still... Seinfeld was almost over at this point. It had been lasting, but Friends was the lead-in, and it was becoming huge. people watched Seinfeld and Friends back to back, and then Friends became like the biggest show. Friends, they're at the beach. It's secrets and lies and jellyfish. He's a priest, not a saint. Nothing sacred. Cracker. As if you need another reason to watch Seinfeld. Something about watch the season premiere of Seinfeld and you'll get to see another highly anticipated introduction. The 1990 Accord. It's big, it's new, it'll be talked about for a long time to come. Kind of like this show. Tune in Thursday night on ABC. Check TV listens for time and channel. That's something you don't see too much anymore. Last time I saw something like that was the show Heroes, when they would use it to promote cars. And the first season of Heroes was like a big deal, but the second season, they tried the same thing again, but the second season was just a bust. And that was in the 2000s. Family Matters, Urkel. There's the guy from Perfect Strangers and the kid from Jerry Maguire. Migo, don't remember that. Sabrina. Millennium. Just Cause. That's actually a pretty good movie. The late Sean Connery. The Gregory Hines. So I miss Gregory Hines. One of my favorite movies of all time is called Running Scared, and another movie I really like with him is called The Cotton Club. He's a really good actor. Nash Bridges. Willie Nelson's gonna be on it. Don and Willie. This pair is wild. Nash's newest buddy works for the law and lives behind bars. Oh, the 90s. Now we get to the movies, and they have little reviews, star reviews. Like, The Amazing Panda Adventure got 2 stars. Airplane 2, the sequel, got 2 stars. Being There got 4 stars. Bushwhacked got 1 star. And it kind of tells you, it warns you what's in it, like A Clockwork Orange, violence, sexual situations. I don't think that's as ample enough warning for A Clockwork Orange, though, if you're not familiar with it. Because Cloak and Dagger, which is a family-friendly movie, also has violence. The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. So this is your movie check to see if the movie is something you'll like, and if it's appropriate to watch with your kids, because they used to care about stuff like that. Muppets. And letters. And Zodiac stuff here. So you have everything. The Patrick Walker horoscope, and a crossword puzzle, and an ad for a Geo Tracker, because it wouldn't be the 90s without a Geo Tracker, and an ad for cigarettes. See, this had everything. Your TV, buy your little porcelain collection, check your horoscope, do a crossword puzzle, and find out what movies are on. And with that, I'll go ahead and call this video over. I have some more Princess Diana magazines to go through to give you a feel of what it was like to be growing up in the late 90s, 97, what it was like when she passed away and how that was, and what the rest of the world was like during that time too. So I hope you'll keep tuning in. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. That helps my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment and click the bell icon to find out when my videos come. All those things help my channel a lot, and I appreciate all of you very much, and I appreciate you coming and sitting with me and hanging out, and I can't say that enough. So until next time, bye.